My name's Bo, and I'm a weightlifter about to do the CrossFit Open this year. So as a weightlifter, I'm not going to recommend anybody do the CrossFit Open because it's pretty hazardous to your training and probably the entire rest of your body. I did CrossFit for about 3 years and then I switched to Olympic weightlifting, and I've been doing almost exclusively weightlifting for about 3 years now. Since I started, I've made a tremendous amount of progress, and I attribute that to a lot of focus and a lot of consistency in weightlifting. And I'm doing the CrossFit Open this year. It's been about 3 years since I've done it for a number of reasons. And I'm going to get into that in a second. First, I want to talk about why you weightlifters do not want to do the Open. And the first thing is, I'm going to say injury. There's a high risk of injury if you haven't been training for a lot of these movements. Now, some of the pinnacle weightlifting or some of the pinnacle CrossFit movements that you'll probably see in the Open are going to be toes to bar, pull-ups, chest to bar, muscle-ups, handstand push-ups. And a lot of these things, maybe pistols, a lot of these things require progressions into them. You know, so your first day, you don't want to go out and do 30 kipping pull-ups because that's going to put a lot of wear and tear on your shoulders. You need to start off slow, and that's kind of how we build our program here at GoFit Training. And I'm going to be as safe as possible, but you know, those types of movements, if you haven't really done a lot of it, are kind of dangerous to just jump in and do. The other negative, really negative part of this is going to be its effect on your training. Now, if you're trying to go into the Open and like just fart around, then sure, train that morning, do the workout later. Don't do your weightlift. Do your most important thing first in the day. And I'm going to say weightlifting, if you're a weightlifter, is far more important than doing the Open. But if you want to do the Open and you're like, I don't like that guy at this CrossFit gym down the street, I don't even do CrossFit, I want to beat him in it just to shove it in his face, then maybe you take that day off of weightlifting, do the CrossFit Open, and hopefully you beat him and can show off a little bit, which is one reason that I'm doing this. But anyways, like, you're gonna ruin most likely that day of training, and then I'm gonna be willing to bet you ruin the next 2 days of training for weightlifting after this Open. So most likely these workouts are gonna trash your body in ways that you haven't been trashed yet, and the recovery time on that is gonna be very substantial. So after the workout, you're gonna wake up the next day and you're gonna be almost unwilling to, you know, do power cleans, power snatch, clean jerk snatch, like whatever your weightlifting workout is. It's going to be really hard because your body is just fried. And then the next day, you're going to be even sore, you're going to be more tight. And that right there presents a real big problem that you might not be aware of, is if you have you do lunges, overhead lunges in the Open, you know, you're like some specific part of your leg is going to be overworked, and now it's going to be super tight. And if you don't address that tightness before you lift, that could affect a lot of different systems. If you go into, you know, clean 160 kilos and all of a sudden your knees aren't working right or your hips aren't working right because they're super tight from doing this obscure movement, that could lead to injury, or that could cause some type of movement patterns that are gonna lead to injury down the line, or at least lead to pain and suffering, which is weightlifting. So an example of that is, like, I did 483 burpees to raise money for, we have Kristen, Katie, and Dylan on the Caboose weightlifting team. They're going to, very jealous, they're going to Columbus, Ohio for the Arnold. I'd love to go there. I'm gonna stay and run the gym, let them go to their first ever national meet. So they're going there, and we needed to raise a little money for them, so I did burpees. We had about 15 or so people donate. In all, they donated about, like, I would say about $5 per burpee in total. So some people donated 5 cents, some people, one person donated $1 per burpee, one person donated 15 cents, and went up to about 50 cents. But average was about 10 cents per burpee, and we raised almost $2,000. And 483 burpees, wrecked my system. My lower back was hurting because I was doing a lot of flexion extension coming up and down from the ground. My delts, I couldn't really reach overhead for about 3 days, so doing jerks were really difficult. And now I have some pain in the front of my shoulder. So like, it's almost been a week later and I'm still dealing with that. So, you know, there's a lot of potential effects down the line if you don't stretch and mobilize after that you could be dealing with. Lastly, like, I'm dedicating time to training that's not directly applicable to the goal that I have in mind. Okay, if I want to achieve success in the snatch and clean and jerk, I need to be doing the snatch and clean and jerk, not toes to bar, not handstand push-ups. Not like, those things have arguably some skill transition, but in comparison to what the benefit I get out of that compared to what I would get out of a actual snatch or clean and jerk, there's no real conversation to be had there. If I want to get better at this movement, I need to do this movement. So I'm dedicated, I'm taking time away from my training to do something else that's also going to cause me potential injury, extreme amounts of recovery time, and potential movement faults due to muscle tightness, and that sort of thing. But all that being said, I'm going to do the CrossFit Open. I do have a gym, and we do not affiliate ourselves with CrossFit for a bunch of reasons I won't get into now. But we have a lot of CrossFitters that go here. We do a similar style training. I personally think that the CrossFit organization has done a remarkable job of getting the entire world involved in one single sport and then creating a competition for everybody to be included in that sport, which is relatively unheard of. USAW is trying to do that by making 3 different American Opens, which I think is great. It's getting a lot more people involved in the sport. But CrossFit kind of did that from the start with the Open, and super brilliant. I have a bunch of CrossFitters here, and they are really excited about this Open. They've been begging me to do it with them, so without doing any previous training, I was like, you know what, I'll do it with you. And I think this is going to be really important because it'll allow me to train with the members of my gym. It'll allow me to drink my own Kool-Aid, practice what I preach, and I think it'll be fun kind of getting into the trenches with my members. I haven't done a lot, or I haven't done any workouts with them, and you know, I think it's in poor form for a gym owner or a trainer or a coach to tell an athlete to do something that they themselves have never done or have no intention of doing. So I'm kind of practicing what I preach here, and hopefully that'll help build our internal community here. The next thing, you know, I kind of alluded to this, the Open's a pretty fun event. CrossFit's done a really good job of making sure that standards are set and there's specific judges. You know, you have to video submit all of your workouts if you're not at an affiliate. And I think you have to video submit anything if you qualify for regionals. You know, it's such a big event, and you can bond with almost any CrossFitter out there, and there's friggin' millions of them. So I think it'll be cool to kind of be a part of that bigger community again, at least for what, 5 weeks. And I'm also curious, I'm really interested to see how well I do without training. And part of this will kind of validate weightlifting's transferability and conditioning aspect to other sports. There's a ton of negatives, there's a ton of reasons I'm going to tell you don't do it, not a good idea, but I do own a gym, I do preach this stuff, I write CrossFit programming, I have a lot of really great athletes here that I'm super excited to get to work out with. So I'm going to do it for them. I'm going to do it to satisfy a little bit of my own curiosity. It's such a well-run event. I'm kind of excited for it. You know, it's been 3 years since I've really done CrossFit, so you know, it'll be interesting to see where I can kind of step back into without training. And I know after my weightlifting career is over, which probably has maybe 2 or 3 more years left, I'm going to go back into CrossFit because There is a lot of fun stuff to have been done. CrossFit or strongman, might go strongman. We'll see. I don't know if they have a weight class light enough for me. I'm not 400 pounds. It's 6'8". But anyways, you know, I'm excited, and I'll kind of keep you guys updated with the progress, the pain, the soreness. Maybe I'll put in the video or a time lapse of it. But you know, if you have any questions about how I'm going to go about this, or if you should do it, feel free to message me. Like, comment, subscribe, all those fun stuff. I'm looking forward to taking you guys with me on this journey through the CrossFit Open.